Good evening, friends, and welcome to another edition of Crime Time with DutyRon and Ed Wallace. Welcome to a Forensic Friday. We are going to get into Karen Reed, the retrial, day 28, with Dr. Crash Daddy Wolfe. He took the stand today from ARCCA. This is, oh, Ed, why? Why did you do that to me?
That's you.
I want to just say thank you to our replay viewers, our Patreon supporters, the channel members, and all of the folks, the moderators, and everyone that's here. We hit 500,000 subscribers yesterday, Ed, and we're close to a 501,000 subscribers. We're just about to hit that 501,000 subscriber mark. So thank you to almost 1,000 people subscribing overnight. So it's awesome to have you all here. We are honored that you're taking this journey with us. But the Karen Reed trial, day 28, got interesting today because the moment we've all been waiting for, Crash Daddy Dr. Wolfe from ARCCA got on the stand. And as we know, he's the director of the accident reconstruction team. He was originally hired by that three-letter agency, Ed, that Judge Bev doesn't allow anyone to talk about until Officer Dever got on the stand, right?
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden, we were able to say the FBI. Your thoughts on day 28 and what we saw? A lot of science. And I know you, my friend, love science and physics.
Well, before I get into this, I just want to thank all the veterans. Today is D-Day, Operation Overlord, the invasion of Europe in World War II, and the invasion at Normandy. And I have family that came in the second wave of landing in Normandy. And so I'm at my beach house. So I like to say that, my day at the beach was brought to me by those gentlemen's day at the beach. Yeah. And they had it far worse than anybody can possibly imagine. But with that said, today was all about science. Weird science. Oh, yeah. I was digging every moment of it. I was loving it, and you could see the dichotomy between true scientists and he who has no degree and he who dances with dummies. Okay, and the craziness about it is aperture 400,000, and these guys 50,000 for all these experiments they just did. And they had their own Lexus, okay, that they had. It was amazing, the difference between the two.
Yeah, I got to say, I was so impressed with Dr. Wolfe's testimony and the thoroughness of the experiments and the testing that he did. It almost made it seem like it was like what the prosecutor brought on with their expert witnesses. It was like something out of a Cracker Jack box. Let's take a listen to a quick piece from our good friends at Boston 10 NBC. Let's take a listen to what they had to say.
Tonight, testimony back on track with talk about Karen Reed's taillight.
What happens when you impact an arm with a Lexus taillight at various speeds?
A crash reconstruction expert shares his findings.
It's inconsistent with striking an arm.
Plus, money talks. We take a closer look at the bill taxpayers will have to pay once this trial is over. And we're getting perspective from police after two officers took the stand this week. Canton Confidential, the Karen Reed murder trial, starts right now.
Testimony today from an accident reconstructionist at ARCCA. This could very well be the most critical piece of the defense's case. Good evening, everyone. I'm Glenn Jones. JC has the night off. Testimony from the engineering firm's crash experts has been highly contentious in this trial. The firm was first hired by the FBI as part of a now closed federal investigation into how local police handled the case. But since then, ARCCA has been communicating with the defense, and that put them at the center of feisty pretrial hearings. Melanie Mendez is outside the courthouse with more on the testimony of Dr. Daniel Wolfe. This was highly anticipated, Mel.
It was, Glenn. A lot of people were talking about these ARCCA witnesses coming in to be the potential star witnesses for the defense team. Well, here's the thing. In the first trial, these ARCCA witnesses took the stand and very clearly presented their data and their methods, saying, in their opinion, there was no way that John O'Keefe's injuries were consistent with having been hit by Karen Reed's vehicle. Now, the prosecution fought tooth and nail to prevent these ARCCA witnesses from ever making the stand in this second trial. Well, they were unsuccessful in that bid. The ARCCA witnesses, the first one was back, and the science has not changed. Take a look.
The objection sustained. That's sustained too. That's sustained. That's sustained too. Ask it differently. That's sustained.
The long disputed status of the witness made.
And that was not anywhere near the entirety of her objection sustained routine. That was just a small sampling. It went on and on and on continually. So.
Made clear by the dizzying number of objections by the Commonwealth while Dr. Daniel Wolfe was on the stand. Almost as numerous as the objections were the visual displays for the jurors. In video after video of accident recreations, Wolfe showed their testing methods.
We applied this same linear impactor to be able to project, if you will, or accelerate the taillight at a known speed into the ATD arm.
Showing what happens when a taillight collides with a dummy arm at various speeds, saying the damage to the taillight was inconsistent with the damage to Karen Reed's SUV and inconsistent with the damage to John O'Keefe's clothing.
In any of the testing that you did you ever see taillight pieces cut, puncture, or fray the sleeve of that hoodie?
No.
Often displaying side-by-side images of the actual damage and damage that resulted from their testing. Here they are talking about testing done at 24 miles per hour, the same speed the prosecution is alleging Reed was going in reverse when the SUV hit John.
Well, we accelerated that vehicle into the arm at 24 miles an hour.
Were you able to reach any opinions or conclusions as to whether the damage to the subject taillight is consistent with striking an arm at 24 miles per hour?
Based upon the test results, it's inconsistent with striking an arm.
After each test showing the damage to the taillight, the arm, and the sweatshirt.
It's inconsistent. It was inconsistent. It was inconsistent.
The doctor was asked about the so-called blue paint test done by the prosecution's witness and about its efficacy.
Doing this at 2 miles an hour doesn't tell you anything about, well, what happens at 10? What happens at 15? What happens at 20?
And what he says Welcher didn't do.
I'm not aware of any impact testing that he did. No.
Under cross, Hank Brennan immediately going after his credibility, then his prior communications with the defense.
Is there any reason why you deleted all of your text communications with the defense?
Just I routinely delete them after that communication is over with.
And potential bias.
You were communicating with the defense and attempting the best you could to assist their cause, weren't you?
I wouldn't characterize it that way.
It got heated a number of times.
I feel like I've answered it the best I can, Your Honor.
Okay, next question.
You don't like that question?
Sustained. Let's try it.
Ron, hit the button.
You dick.
Thank you.
That's a well-deserved you dick for Mr. Hank Brennan.
And he's got another one coming.
Hold on.
Assist their cause, weren't you?
I wouldn't characterize it that way.
It got heated a number of times.
I feel like I've answered it the best I can, Your Honor.
Okay, next question.
You don't like that question?
Sustained. Let's try it. Jurors disregard.
On redirect, Jackson went back to the science, asking again if the injuries to John O'Keefe's arm could have been caused by shards of taillight.
They would somehow have to accelerate with more speed to catch up and go beyond the arm, essentially.
Is that physically possible?
No.
All right, Glenn, now the jury will be back on Monday. First thing Monday morning, they're expected to have full days of testimony Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday.
Ed, so we got full days of court next week, but I wanted to I played that purposely because that gave us an overview of the day, the highlights of the day. And I think that out of all the days that we showed NBC 10 Boston, this was the best that they put together because they showed quite a bit of 7 hours worth of testimony in a short 4-minute clip. That was pretty damn good. Ed, your thoughts on what we just listened to?
Well, listen, this is the difference, again, between real scientists and hired guns and their bogus science, okay? Their smoke and mirror show that they try to put on to pull the wool over the eyes of the juror, okay? They got paid to say what Brennan wanted them to say, and there's no science really to back up what they did. And the Commonwealth paid all that money for it. Then, you know, they first did the testing with the pneumatic arm, the mechanical arm. You know, just that testing alone, that didn't require them to do any further testing, but they did. They went beyond that. Not only did they use that pneumatic arm, then they went and did arm testing with actual vehicle and multiple lenses that they froze to 31 to 30 degrees and kept at that temperature, and installed those lights and then chilled it down and documented with a thermal imager that this is what the tail light was at the time of the testing. Then they did the single arm, then they did full dummies. Okay. I mean, this,
when they were talking about that hybrid 3-arm, that's what you were trying to talk about here. The prosecutor tried to make a thing out of that hybrid 3-arm. I mean,
yeah, and that's bogus. Okay, listen, when they keep using this 11.5 pound arm,
right? Let's talk
they don't know what John O'Keefe's arm really weighed. That is just based upon charts that we have out of anthropology, based on the height and weight.
Right.
And there's also an anatomy and so forth, based upon the height and weight of an individual. And then, you know, they do this math and come up with a percentage of what the arm could possibly weigh. They don't know for a fact that John's arm weighed that. They never weighed John's arm, individual appendage. Okay.
And could we just for a second? I know that you're on your blood pressure is up. I want to just calm you down for a second, but could we just talk about 3 very important things that? Ed's drinking. 3 very important things that happened in these last few days. Number 1, we heard from Sergeant Nicholas Baros, the Dighton police sergeant, who said in his own words in his testimony that tail light did not have that same damage that it had when he saw the photo from the Sally Port at the Canton PD. That's number 1, right?
Yeah.
Let's go to number 2. Dr. Scordy Bellow, the medical examiner, stated that the wounds and the injuries to police officer John O'Keefe are not indicative of a pedestrian vehicle strike. Number 3, today, Dr. Crash Daddy. Those 3 people, or very important people, Dr. Scordy Bellow is a forensic pathologist. Correct me if I'm wrong, right? She's,
right. She's triple board certified,
the whole shebang. So when you just, and these are just 3 things that happened in a very short period of time. Granted, Dr. Scordy Bellow testified a week and a half ago, but that is not a faded memory of these jurors. These jurors know that Dr. Scordy Bellow said hands down that the injuries to police officer John O'Keefe are not indicative of a vehicle pedestrian strike. Ed?
And don't forget the lab. The lab had that important question from the defense. Was there any salt and sand deposits inside of the housing?
Right.
And the answer was no.
Yeah, and Brandon reminded us not to forget the very esteemed Dr. Russell, the dog bite expert.
Mm-hmm.
She came and her testimony was very high impact. But the 3 that I just mentioned, that you cannot, the prosecution stayed away, Brandy and all of our friends, the prosecution stayed away from talking about Dr. Scordy Bellow. There's a very, very, very big mark against the state's case, the Commonwealth's case, on that alone. And all you have to do is create reasonable doubt here, right, Ed?
Oh, there's more than reasonable doubt. In fact, the burden of proof is on the prosecution to prove beyond a reasonable doubt, and they haven't done it by no stretch of the imagination. And it seems like the defense is the one that's proving everything against the state's case.
Right.
Okay. about, first of all, the geometry of those entry defects in the sleeve of Officer John O'Keefe's hoodie. Nothing in those lens pieces has those geometries that can create that damage. Okay, so that just blows everything out of the water there. Okay, none of their testing. And when Dances with Dummies was on the stand, he said he didn't want to perform tests like ARCCA did, because what if it didn't prove his theory? Well, holy shit, that's the scientific method. You're supposed to, first of all, come up with you're supposed to come up with a hypothesis, not a theory. And then you gather data, conduct tests, evaluate the results of the test, and then come up with a conclusion. That's the way that works. We spoke about that here. Okay. He did not follow that because he was afraid that he was going to conduct a test that wouldn't be able to match the damage to the clothing and match the wounds. Right. And you know what was funny today? Doing my research after trial, I saw another YouTube creator went to what is that artificial intelligence chat
GPT,
and they put in the photograph of Officer John O'Keefe's wounds and asked it, what caused this? And guess what it said? Dog bites. Claw marks and dog bites. That's what artificial intelligence came back and said that photograph represented. Okay? Could you imagine that? All right. And then to make sure that this wasn't some bias thing, she asked the artificial intelligence to identify where the photo came from, and it couldn't do it because it didn't link it to this trial. Okay. So that was amazing. Okay.
Message agree. Ed, a lot of people are loving your Dances with Dummies reference. I think many people here, if you loved that Ed's reference to Dances with Dummies, please.
That's his Native American name, Dances with Dummies. And then his partner in crime is He with No Degree.
Put a 1 in the chat if you're loving this. Let's take a listen to ABC News. World News Tonight covered this story. And also, this isn't World News Tonight, but let's just take a listen to it, ABC. I like to give everybody a little bit of play, but they really hammered home Dr. Crash Daddy, and we all love a smart man, and the ladies out there I know love the dimple smile, the little dimple in his cheek there. Everybody is going crazy in the feed that I was watching today on the replay.
We have been listening to an accident reconstruction expert breaking down the physics in the Karen Reed murder retrial, saying the state's theory doesn't add up. Daniel Wolfe testified the damage to Karen Reed's SUV couldn't have happened without way more force than the scenario the prosecution is alleging, that Karen Reed hit John O'Keefe with her car. They're also questioning, this expert's also questioning how the state reached its conclusions on what happened and the test that they conducted here. Let's bring in ABC News Live weekend anchor Phil Lipoff and criminal defense attorney Phil Harvey. Phil Harvey, I want to bring you in on, this is sort of a two-pronged testimony here. Not only is this witness saying that the state's theory of what happened doesn't add up, but also insinuating something else happened to this SUV for it to sustain this damage, which sort of goes to the defense's theory that there's corruption at play here.
That's right, Diane. And I think the testimony in particular about those internal diffusers is really central to the defense attorney's theory in advancing that sort of two-pronged approach you just.
And Ed, I want to stop it here because you and I, in the debrief before we went live tonight, we talked about these diffusers. I want to bring you back on, Ed, because you are a CSI expert. You're a crime scene expert. You processed over, oh my God, I know you're going to correct me, 2,597 crime scenes. I keep changing that number up. But Ed, you have processed numerous crime scenes. And when he talked about Dr. Dr. Wolfe today talked about the diffusers being damaged in the pieces of evidence that were presented to him from the lab, as opposed to what happened in his experiments, which were speeds of up to 29 miles an hour. And we'll get into that, and the offset, and they called it a 26% weight differential. It was bullshit. It was just a difference between a couple of pounds. But let's talk about the diffuser, what this attorney's talking about here, Ed.
Yeah, so the diffuser is on the inside of the housing of the taillight, okay? And it's about 1.5 inches to about 2 inches away from the internal part of the exterior lens, okay? So in much of the testing done here by the crash daddies here, they didn't break those diffusers. There were 1 or 2 times that they did, but they were... when they projected the drinking glass at, was it close to 37 miles an hour? That was capable of doing that. And then one of the other tests, only one of the diffusers broke, as opposed to what happened in that lens. Okay.
And now the diffusers, Ed, are here. These are
right.
those...
Well, they're at the bottom, and then there's also some on the side.
Okay. A lot of people getting confused about it, but I thought it was an important part of the win today for the defense, because they didn't forget anything. They dotted their I's and they crossed their T's, which, in my opinion, is the difference between what Hank Brennan is putting forward, the Commonwealth is putting forward. Like you said, you got Dr. Wolfe versus Dr. Welcher. I mean, that's like Tyson going to fight against Pee Wee Herman. No?
Yeah, well, you have a very humble man in Dr. Wolfe, and then you had a guy that was full of himself in Dances with Dummies. Okay, so and you can see the price difference. Okay, and I love the part of the testimony from Dr. Wolfe about. It wasn't necessary for Dances with Dummies to dress up like Officer John O'Keefe.
Yeah.
It served no purpose whatsoever.
And he didn't say it with a smirk. He didn't say it with trying to be cocky. He was just like, no, that's not a good look right there.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's let the rest of this play. Let's listen to this criminal defense attorney.
Witness saying that the state's theory of what happened doesn't add up, but also insinuating something else happened to this SUV for it to sustain this damage, which sort of goes to the defense's theory that there's corruption at play here.
That's right, Diane. And I think the testimony in particular about those internal diffusers is really central to the defense attorney's theory in advancing that sort of two-pronged approach you just described. The amount of force required to break the initial red cover of the taillight is obviously less than the amount of force required to start breaking the internal components of the taillight. And what's interesting about this testimony is the defense attorney did run into some troubles with their dog bite expert testimony. And I think the state is running into similar troubles because the state's expert just basically did what Daniel Wolfe described, the defense expert described as a static test, not accounting for the force involved. And at the end of the day, the state just has a similar problem, which is they're saying the geometry of the taillight matches the injuries on the arm. And that's really a difficult scientific conclusion to draw.
What are you watching for next year?
Well, Phil's right. Beyond a difficult
Sorry,
science.
it's Phil and Phil. I
just
know
Phil's
that's a little confusing.
So she wanted to get the defense attorney's take on what he's watching for next. And because his name is Phil, he chimed in. But
I have to say I disagree with the take on the dog bite. Dr. Russell did just fine. I don't know what he was looking at.
Well, yeah, that's why I wanted to play this, because so we could show our audience about how the media and their talking heads kind of get it wrong. Like where he just said they had difficulties with their dog bite expert, but he didn't elaborate on it.
Right.
Anybody could just talk out their ass and say whatever they want to say, But if you're going to say something, you got to back it up with some facts. And this defense attorney didn't. I know that they are time constraints, right, Ed? You and I have done interviews on Law and Crime and on News Nation, and they cut you off. So interesting take, but at the end of the day, I loved what they said about the diffuser, because that's something that was really important. One of our friends in the chat said, how come they're not talking about inside 34 Fairview in the basement and what's alleged that happened in that basement? It's all not part of evidence. It's not something that they could just bring up because it's speculation, because nobody has been inside 34 Fairview to do any testing to back up those claims. And that's where the problem comes in, Ed, right?
Well, because the thorough investigation wasn't conducted from the first emergency responders on scene as to knocking on the door and interviewing the Alberts that were in the house.
Right. And and Kevin says, who killed John? We may never know, because of the way this thing was fudged and the way there was a lack of evidence collection. There was a lack of investigatory steps taken.
Well,
Any
John,
investigator knows that you knock on doors, you go into the home on the property where the person is found. This is now a homicide. You go inside and look room to room. We've seen it on body cam. Look, we saw it with Charles Vallow. He was found dead right inside the house. It was a little different. It was inside the house. But if he was found dead on that front lawn, they would have went through the house and cleared it. It's called clearing a home. They didn't do it because the owner of the home was a cop. Ed, I'm sorry. What are you going to say to John?
well, no, Kevin, who just posted that, who killed John. Kevin, you need to look at yesterday's episode and from the Waterfall Bar, and you could figure out pretty quickly who the culprits are.
Yeah, 100%. Let's go to the chat really quick, because we value our live chatters and we love our live chatters. Nicole, thank you for thank you for membership, being a member for 4 months. Sorry about that. Congratulations on 500,000 subscribers. Thank you, Nicole. Kelly, Steve, Steffi, talk time with Amy, Boston, and Kelly. Thank you for the 2. She says, congratulations on the 500,000. Thank you. Cindy, thanks for the 10. Jay Rivet, thank you for the 20. My first super chat. I am so thankful for you both. Well, we are thankful for you, and we're grateful. Thank you for all you guys do. Thank you for your service. Thank you for thanking us. So I'm almost caught up here. Lisa, thank you for gifting out 1 membership. Appreciate it. Emily Parkinson, thank you so much for being here. $5. I was laughing my ass off when Alan Jackson and Brennan went Pee Wee Herman on each other. Was not. I know you are, but what am I?
Listen, I was throwing shit at the television when he went after Dr. Wolfe's wife. And,
that was despicable.
That needs that button. Hit the button.
You dick. Pardon my French, but you're
an asshole.
He gets a double whammy. Annie Pops, thank you for the 20. Ed, yeah, that was, I said it last night before last. When we think Hank Brennan has hit the low, he just keeps hitting below the belt. And, to bring out, he actually presented Dr. Wolfe with a printout of his wife's social media posts. That is effed up. I mean, Dr. Wolfe said, I don't know where my wife stands on this. That's not part of our discussion. This is my profession. It's not something that I discuss with my wife and with my family, especially when you're not allowed to discuss what you're doing as a
this Brennan is the guy that gives all lawyers a bad name and why people hate lawyers. Okay. And it's a sign of desperation. Okay. He knows he's losing.
Yeah.
He knows that he paid $400,000 for shit, and these guys come in with the receipts.
And he was hired as a special prosecutor because he was going to be the savior to get them their guilty verdict, and that's what they're looking for, right? They're looking to blame the girl. We're looking to blame the girl. KNS, thank you for gifting. Wow, 10 memberships. Thank you for being so kind and generous to us all the time. Ida, thank you so much for the 5. She says, I love Dr. Wolfe's science discussion and the demonstrations. But do you think the jury got it, or did Hank confuse them? No.
I think the jury got it. I mean, those demonstrations are huge. They speak louder than words. Okay. So I think the jury understands, especially when it relates to the shirt.
Right.
All right. Remember, you got to get through the shirt to get to the skin. Okay. So the geometry of all that damage to the shirt doesn't match anything from the plastic.
Yeah. Yeah. So someone's saying, I want membership. I want a free membership. You make sure you have it enabled in your account. You have to be able to enable free memberships, accepting of free memberships. So thank you, legal-minded friends, Karen Cole. She says, pin it on the girl. Yeah, absolutely. It's crazy. It's crazy times 10. But it is what it is. Truth Seeker, last name, thank you. We love you right back. We appreciate you. All of you guys. We can't say and thank you enough for not only subscribing, but engaging. Because subscribing is one thing, but engaging, hitting the thumbs up, leaving us comments, all of those things are what helps to get this live stream and our show put out there to a larger audience. And it's really the hard work of not only us doing these streams, but you guys working together with us. So we're a cohesive team, as Ed likes to say.
You know, earlier in the chat, somebody asked me if I ever had to face a defense attorney like this in my career, and I have. Okay, and if you see the way Brennan phrases his questions, right? So he's starting out from a negative position with his questions, right? So the way you get around that, a guy like that, is you tell him, you know, I don't agree with the premise of your question. Okay, you know, and then after you say that a couple times, eventually he's going to say, well, I said, you're starting off with a negative connotation as if what you're saying is true and I should know this, and that your question is not true. And this is what I can tell you. Right.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, Ed. I mean, I don't think there's many people that disagree with you here in the chat and you know, overall. On the Ground says, I never comment, but I'm letting you know what I always watch from Spain, and it's 4 a.m. over here right now. Thank you.
Hola, mi amigo.
Oh, Ed, there goes Ed showing off again. Yes, I love that Ed can speak multiple different languages, can communicate with our multinational audience. It's always great. I love this so much that I have to play this one more time. And this is the compilation of all the different objections, sustained, and all of that stuff. Let's listen again for the people who are just joining. Might have missed it from the first time.
And the science has not changed. Take a look.
The objection sustained. That's sustained too. That's sustained. That's sustained too. Ask it differently. That's sustained.
The long disputed status.
It almost could make you really like want to just throw up when you hear that over and over again. But if I asked Kristen to take a look at this testimony from today and any other day, we would come up with a long 20-minute video of just exactly what we just saw here. Sustain, objecting, sustain.
That's sustained too. Ask it differently. That's sustained.
The long disputed status of the witness made clear by the dizzying number of objections by the Commonwealth while Dr. Daniel Wolfe was on the stand. Almost as numerous as the objections were the visual displays for the jurors. In video after video of accident recreations, Wolfe showed their testing methods.
We applied this same linear impactor to be able to project, if you will, or accelerate the taillight at a known speed in.
And I want to stop this here because we played this once through. We played it once without stopping it. When I saw this in court today, now don't forget, you know, I've been around you a long time, and I envisioned you doing this. If this was your show, not meaning show, but if this was what you did as a crash test expert or, you know, crash reconstruction expert, I pictured you doing something like this. Am I wrong?
No, you're not wrong. I've done many things like this in my career with my fellow ballistics and lab analysts, and working together, formulated experiments like this with shooting reconstruction and bloodstain pattern analysis and photographing and videotaping and, all of the documentation required and to present our findings to a grand jury or a defense attorney or district attorney, so they can understand what it is that occurred here, to show that we can prove certain aspects of the reconstruction of these crimes that we were investigating. Yeah, and we dotted our I's, we crossed our T, we documented everything. I mean, look at the steps they went through in the, taking out a thermal image camera to show and prove that the lens was at 30 degrees at the time of the testing. And they had multiple lenses in coolers with dry ice. They did all the dots, dotted all their I's and crossed all their T's, so that anybody can then, following their notes,
go back,
conduct the same experiments they did.
So
Okay.
it can be tested through and through.
Right. To see if they get the same results. That's the scientific method. Let's show that again.
That's the right way to do it. Sandra Moran says, I was literally upset with the comments in a live chat. I think she was talking about Law and Crime or one of the other ones. They were all saying that Hank was winning. I don't see that. We definitely don't see it. And again, some people look at things with a foggy lens. But as I've said, and look, it's usually Ed, putting this stuff in your face, but we're a team. When you look at the testimonies from the three, Sergeant Baros from the Dighton Police Department, Dr. Scotty Bellow, the medical examiner, and
Dr. Russell.
Yeah, Dr. Russell, that's 3, and now we'll go for 4. Dr. Crash Daddy, Dr. Wolfe, the testimony, and he's not done. Ed, you reminded me, he's back on the stand on Monday.
Yeah, he's on redirect.
Yeah, so it's going to be unbelievable. It's going to be an unbelievable week. But let's listen to this again, because I know Ed loves this stuff.
Differently, that's sustained.
The long disputed status of the witness made clear by the dizzying number of objections by the Commonwealth while Dr. Daniel Wolfe was on the stand. Almost as numerous as the objections were the visual displays for the jurors. In video after video of accident recreations, Wolfe showed their testing methods.
We applied this same linear impactor to be able to project, if you will, or accelerate the taillight at a known speed into the ATD arm.
Showing what happens when a taillight collides with a dummy arm at various speeds, saying the damage to the taillight was inconsistent with the damage to Karen Reed's SUV and inconsistent with the damage to John O'Keefe's clothing.
In any of the testing that you did you ever see taillight pieces cut, puncture, or fray the sleeve of that hoodie?
No.
Often displaying side-by-side images of the actual damage and damage that resulted.
And that's what was great about Dr. Wolfe's presentation, is the side-by-side. This is for the jury. Don't forget, this is not for us. This is not for show and tell. This is not for shock and awe. This is for the jury to absorb. And Ed, you got to say, on a scale of 1 to 10, Dr. Wolfe was a 10 plus today.
Oh, absolutely. 100%. Night and day. He kept his cool. He was down to earth. He wasn't conceited. He wasn't narcissistic. He wasn't combative. He gave the same testimony regardless of who was asking the questions. He didn't change his demeanor with the prosecutor, although he would have every right to, because the guy was being a dick. But that's besides the point. But he kept his professionalism.
He was being a total...
Pardon my French, but you're an asshole.
Yeah, this again was
from their testing. Here they are talking clothing.
In any of the testing that you did you ever see taillight pieces cut, puncture, or fray the sleeve of that hoodie?
No.
Often displaying side-by-side images of the actual damage and damage that resulted from their testing. Here they are talking about testing done at 24 miles per hour, the same speed the prosecution is alleging Reed was going in reverse when the SUV hit John.
Well, we accelerated that vehicle into the arm at 24 miles an hour.
Were you able to reach any opinions or conclusions as to whether the damage to the subject tail light is consistent with striking an arm at 24 miles per hour?
Based upon the test results, it's inconsistent with striking an arm.
After each test showing the damage to the taillight, the arm, and the sweatshirt.
It's inconsistent. It was inconsistent. It was inconsistent.
The doctor was asked about the so-called blue paint test done by the prosecution's witness and about its efficacy.
Well, doing this at 2 miles an hour doesn't tell you anything about, well, what happens at 10? What happens at 15? What happens at 20?
And what he says Welcher didn't do.
I'm not aware of any impact testing that he did. No.
Under cross, Hank Brennan immediately going after his credibility, then his prior communications with the defense.
Is there any reason why you deleted all of your text communications with the defense?
Let's talk about that. Let's talk about that just for a second, even though it's not worthy of wasting some of the time. But how many of you here keep text messages? Some people do for years and years or a long, long time. I don't personally keep them. If I'm done with a job that I'm doing, like if I'm doing side security work and I have communication back and forth with a client, I don't keep that. There's no reason to keep that communication. So if he's just tidy and likes to keep his phone clear of all this stuff, what is so wrong with that? What was Mr. Brennan?
There's nothing wrong with it. He's trying to make it look nefarious. Okay. All right. And it's just smoke and mirrors because he's got nothing. He's got none. But my cousin Vinny, what that guy just said is all, what'd he say? Bullshit. Yeah.
Yeah. What that guy just said over there is all bullshit.
Bullshit.
Don't listen to it. What did you have up on the screen? Something about science, and I took it down by mistake.
Yeah. Jerky. All right. It said,
hold on a second.
Pardon my friend.
Come on. I'll smack the hair back on your head. Okay. Scientific facts equal not guilty all day, every day, and twice on Sunday.
Twice on Sunday. You can't forget the twice on Sunday. Let's thank some of our friends for the super chats that came in. We went over this one. I love Dr. Wolf's science and discussion demonstrations. But did you think the jury got it? We answered that one out. Josh H, thank you for the 5. Every time I see Josh H, I think of our former producer, may he rest in peace, Joshua H. That was his signature handle, Joshua H. Thank you for the 5. Brennan forgets he has the burden of proof. Yeah.
Yeah, he does.
As of today, he has raised the possibility of the sleeve hole being tail light bushes or road rash on grass. Yeah.
I like how he tried to fool the jury by showing just the that one left sleeve of the crash dummy that went flying in the final test, went flying, got road rash and all this stuff, but he didn't show the other parts of the shirt and the damage that was created to the shirt, the face, and all this stuff. And you tried to say, well, see, that's the consistent. And it's not, because that's not how it was made. It wasn't made by the tail lens. It was made by being thrown on the gravel.
Right. Ed, how did 42 minutes go by already? What the hell's going on here? Badges? We don't.
Time keeps on slipping into the future.
All right. I don't need a badge. I don't need it. Badges? We don't need any stinking badges. She became a YouTube member. Thank you for that. Deborah Guzman, thank you for being a member for over 21 months. Thank you both for your insight and brilliance. Ed's got the brilliance. I might have some insight, but we thank you, Deb. Thank you so much, Deborah. Galaxy Girl sends in 5. A surgeon at BWH just diagnosed that what they thought was breast cancer was kind of just Sean O'Keefe putting a pic in chat. GBT. Oh, okay.
Wow.
Yes.
Interesting.
Wow.
Artificial intelligence with a diagnosis.
I didn't hear that, but yeah, that's interesting. I got to look that up. Mary, thank you for the 5. She says Brennan keeps changing the narrative. Taillight branches, and now it's the ground. Does he think nobody hears this? What's important is that the jury is paying attention, and if we hear it, they hear it.
You know what I don't like? I don't like the fact that he's going to be able to have rebuttal witnesses. Yeah. And then the defense can't come back. You know, it's like, how many bites at the apple does this knucklehead get? And how is that fair?
You're right.
Right. because now, Dances with Dummies is going to come back and try to refute this after the second Crash Daddy testifies. And then they're going to probably bring in a doggy psychologist to go after Dr. Russell. And then the defense doesn't have a chance. I thought it was always in New York that, the defense has the final arguments. The defense has their case in chief, and that's where the trial typically ends, after the defense's case in chief. Okay. But this is getting ridiculous. It's like, it's like this circle that keeps going. And when does it end? I mean, because I don't think it's fair that they get rebuttal witnesses.
Yeah. And a lot of things about this trial is not fair. And it's all courtesy of Lifeguard Bev. Rhino Girl, thank you so much for the 100. That's the United Arab Emirates, I believe.
UAE.
Yeah. A picture was shown of an arm aligned with the taillight from Burgess's scientific testimony. When Jackson asked about Dr. Wolfe's conclusion regarding that picture, his answer is, it shows you can align an arm with a taillight.
That's another thing, too, that Brennan likes to pull. He is not an expert in the wounds or the injuries sustained in motor vehicle crashes. That is his partner who's coming up. But yet Brennan consistently asks other witnesses about stuff outside of their subject matter expertise. And that should not be allowed. Now, he kept telling him, hey, this is not my area of expertise. But that didn't stop Brennan from asking all these questions. Okay.
And anytime there was an objection, it was overruled.
Yeah, I'll allow it. Yeah,
allow it.
Yeah, Lifeguard Bev to the rescue. Here I come to save the day.
I got to get an I'll allow it button. That's for sure. And Mike B says, when you are as corrupt as this judge, anything goes for the offense. Yeah, that's how it seems to be going. All right, Ed, you and I agreed we want to play a little bit of Crash Daddy's direct. So let's take a listen.
Were you asked to do anything or to review anything from the Commonwealth and any of their experts in relation to testing that was undertaken by them regarding the Lexus and Mr. O'Keefe?
Yes.
What were you asked to do?
My understanding is that we were asked to review and evaluate the report and analysis conducted by Dr. Welcher.
Did you receive Dr. Welcher's reports?
Yes.
Did you receive his raw data?
Yes.
Did you receive his 140 plus page PowerPoint?
Yes.
And did you undertake a review of that, all of that data, in order to evaluate that data?
Yes.
What methodology did you undertake at that juncture before you began any testing? Just your review process. What methodology did you undertake in terms of your review of his evaluations and his opinions and conclusions?
Well, I think when reviewing his report and his analysis, I look to his opinions, and then I look to what's the basis and the foundation to those opinions, right? How did he ultimately arrive at those final conclusions? So I'm looking for the methodologies that he followed. What testing did he do? What type of experiments? What type of data analysis? Ultimately, to provide that opinion.
Ultimately, did you prepare a PowerPoint presentation in furtherance of memorializing your review and opinions and conclusions of his evaluation and testing?
Yes.
Did you bring that with you today?
Yes.
Do you have that with you on your computer, or are we going to run the PowerPoint?
It's on this computer up here with me.
With the court's permission, could Dr. Wolfe present his PowerPoint presentation?
Okay.
Well, there's number two. At least we got to present, right? Dr. Wolfe's got his own computer there, Ed. I thought we only saw that with Welcher.
Yeah, but he's not emailing anybody or texting or changing his PowerPoint. He's there just to use it for the PowerPoint.
Was he tossed for a smartwatch? Did they toss him?
No, and he asked the judge, may he use his computer?
Right. He didn't just start editing his PowerPoint because of the objections.
Your Honor, I have
He just opened it.
thumb drive that I need. Do we have this smart?
Yes, is this coming into evidence?
Ed, check the private
Right, so
message.
mark for identification.
Mark for
I
identification.
did. You check it.
You check it.
to the DBB for identification.
Stop breathing down my neck.
May I proceed, Your Honor?
Yes.
Dr. Wolfe, do you see what's displayed or presented up on the TV screen?
Yes.
All right. Do you have with you, by the way, just a matter of housekeeping, something called a spotlight?
Yes.
Something that can do whatever spotlight did that.
Yep.
Okay.
Yes.
I may ask you to employ that, or I may take it from you at some point as we're discussing this. Do you recognize what's on the screen?
Yes.
What is this?
This is my PowerPoint with just the first page, the title.
If we can move to the next slide, please. Describe what we're looking at in this slide.
This is from Dr. Welcher's PowerPoint presentation, slide 121, in which he's indicating that there are lacerations on John O'Keefe's right arm and forearm. And he's indicating in this slide that the location and orientation of the lacerations on John O'Keefe's right forearm and arm are consistent with the geometry and orientation of the right and rear taillight of the Reed 2021 Lexus LX 570.
Can you stop this right now?
Yes.
Okay. So everything that guy just said is bullshit. Okay. That whole statement is total horseshit. It's not science. It's not geometry. None of that lines up correctly. There's no damage there that could be cause those linear parallel marks other than a dog attack. That said, what Hank didn't want the jury to know and was arguing that all these tests that are being done here by the crash daddies are in response
to the work
that Dr. Welcher did. Okay. That's all they're doing here is work that he didn't do, but based upon his report, his PowerPoint presentation, they're trying to see if they can concur with what he says. And their testing shows that is bullshit.
This is a mouthful. Did you consider the opinions and conclusions of Dr. Welcher in conducting your analysis and your ultimate testing?
Yes.
Did you rely on Dr. Welcher's report and his PowerPoint in reaching your conclusions and opinions ultimately in this case?
I don't know that I relied on it. Certainly, I utilized them to have an understanding of what his basis was for his opinion and what his opinion was. Ultimately, at ARCCA, we did our own independent testing to evaluate that.
So just to be clear, I'm not asking Dr. Wolfe if you agreed with his opinions and conclusions. I'm simply asking, did you rely on those in order to come to your opinions and conclusions? Did you incorporate them?
Sustained is to.
Objection. Sustained.
Did you agree ultimately with Dr. Welcher's opinions and conclusions?
Sustained.
Sustained.
You certainly were aware of what his opinions and conclusions were, correct?
Before Mr. Jackson on that.
Were you aware of Dr. Welcher's opinions and conclusions?
Yes.
Are some of those opinions and conclusions represented in your PowerPoint?
Yes.
Are some of them represented on this slide in your PowerPoint?
Yes.
You indicated that this slide indicates that the location and orientation of the lacerations on John O'Keefe's right forearm and arms are consistent with the geometry and orientation of the right rear taillight, correct?
Correct.
Are the injuries to John O'Keefe's arm lacerations?
That would be an opinion for my colleague, Dr. Rentra.
Have you ever heard the phrase abrasion?
Yes.
In your opinion, are the injuries to John O'Keefe's right arm better described as lacerations or abrasions?
I don't have an opinion on that.
Okay.
This is what I like about Dr. Wolfe is even when Alan Jackson tried to press him to give an opinion on something, he stayed true to his to what he practices, and he said, "You're going to hear that from Dr. Rensler," and that's it.
He knows where his line is, and he won't cross it.
Right. You know, it's like when you have somebody from the FBI that never conducted a crime scene investigation or did a murder investigation, and they give their opinion on cases. It's the same kind of concept where, you know, if you've never done this, then why are you even talking about it? So I love that he didn't go out and talk about something that wasn't in his wheelhouse. This is the Crash Daddy, ladies and gentlemen.
Slide number 2, please. Based on your review of Dr. Welcher's reports and his data, what testing did Dr. Welcher undertake or conduct?
So he did, initially, it appeared that he did a static test, if you will, just demonstrating holding his right arm out adjacent to the rear taillights on the right side of an exemplar Lexus to demonstrate his theory of how the arm contacted the taillight.
What is a static test?
So I'm sustaining that. Ask it differently, Mr. Jackson.
Well, why? That's so stupid.
I'm sustaining that question.
What is a static test? Really? That gets objected to?
Unbelievable.
How the arm contacted the taillight.
What is a static test?
So I'm sustaining that.
She even stumbled.
Ask it differently, Mr. Jackson.
She stumbled on her words. She was stuttering. But that is ridiculous.
How the arm contacted the taillight.
What is a static test?
So I'm sustaining that. Ask it differently, Mr. Jackson. And I'm going to strike that.
Wow. She sustained the objection, and then Hank went one further and said, move to strike. And she said, I'm going to strike that. Without any hesitation.
It's just a definition of a scientific term used in the testing.
Look at this woman. I don't know about you guys, but as each day goes forward, my dislike for her grows stronger and stronger. It's just like I try to be objective when it comes to her, but I just can't be because she is so blatant. Oh, so blatant. Look at her.
Testing did you note that Dr. Welcher did with regard to this particular photograph? What is a static test?
Well, in a static test, that neither the arm or the vehicle is moving. It's just he's aligning his right arm adjacent to show how his arm aligns to the geometry and the dimensions of the Lexus.
Did Dr. Welcher appear to be wearing similar clothing as John O'Keefe was wearing on January 29th, 2022?
Yes.
Is there any significance or purpose for that, in your opinion?
In this test, no.
Did you identify any limitations with regard to this sort of testing undertaken by Dr. Welcher?
Well, it's very basic in that the only thing that this demonstrates is that you can get your right arm to align with the taillight. Beyond that, it doesn't tell you anything with respect to what happens to the arm when it makes contact with the taillight, right? What's the motion of the arm? What's the damage to the taillight? What's the acceleration of the arm? What's the forces of the arm? So it doesn't answer any of those other questions. The only question it answers is, does the arm align with the taillight?
Love it. God forbid, welcome in. Yay, it's my first live. Welcome in. Everybody give God forbid a warm welcome.
You're aware that John O'Keefe was 6'1", correct?
Correct.
Is the only person, let me ask you a different question. Can only a 6'1" person align their arm with the taillight?
No, the arm is adjustable, so certainly people of different heights could also meet that alignment as well.
Just by pivoting your arm a little, right?
Sustain.
How would you describe the ability of somebody 5'7", 6'3", being able to align their arm with the taillight?
Just changing the orientation and the posture of your arm.
Was there any scientific significance?
This is simple answers to the questions that Alan Jackson's asking. And Hank is still trying to object to these things. This is just ridiculous.
In your opinion, of this particular test?
Again, other than just demonstrating that it aligns with it, no, nothing beyond that.
Next slide, please. What are we looking at here?
So this is an extracted frame from one of his dynamic tests in which the vehicle is moving at about 2 miles per hour into his arm, making contact with his hand, his forearm, and his elbow.
What is a dynamic test as it relates to a static test?
So that's when something's in motion, and in this instance, it's the Lexus moving at about 2 miles per hour into his arm.
Did Dr. Welcher explain what the purpose of this test was?
From what I recall, I think it was to demonstrate that when his arm makes contact with the taillight, he observed paint transfer in the general location that there were the abrasions or the lacerations on his arm.
Did he appear to paint the taillight?
He did, yes.
Do you see that Dr. Welcher appears to be wearing an orange T-shirt?
Yeah. Sustained.
What is he wearing?
Did you see that Dr. Welcher was wearing an orange T-shirt? Objection. Sustained. What? Ed?
Yeah.
What in the actual?
They don't want any critique of this work.
This is so blatant that blue paint boy is being protected. The more I look at Dr. Welcher, and I hate to say this, the more creeped out I am by this guy with the hat, wearing the clothing. And Dr. Wolfe is asked straight out about, does wearing the same or type of clothing that John O'Keefe's wearing, does it matter with the testing? Could you have worn just a generic colored hooded sweatshirt, same type of material? Yeah. But he took it a step further and went right down to the sneakers and the jeans and the shirt and the hoodie and the undershirt.
Right.
Appears to be an orange T-shirt.
Is that similar to what was described as John O'Keefe having worn that night on January 29th, 2022?
Yes.
Is there any significance to wearing that T-shirt?
Not that I can think of, no.
Did you note any? Right
there it is. Any significance in wearing that T-shirt? No, not that I can think of. And he didn't say it with snarkiness. He didn't say it. Ed,
got to justify that close to $400,000 bill.
Identify any shortcomings with this particular test?
Well, much like the static test, again, it leaves the door open to all those questions, right? About, again, doing this at 2 miles an hour doesn't tell you anything about, well, what happens at 10? What happens at 15? What happens at 20? Right? In terms of what are the collision forces? What's the damage? How does the arm move? What would the expected injuries be, right? This dynamic test, as well as the static test, doesn't answer any of those questions for us.
And that was a great thing to put out to the jurors, because they just saw Dr. Welcher last week give them that ridiculous 2 mile an hour test. And when he was asked, did you test this at a higher speed? I forgot the speed that he suggested. He was like, laughed at Alan Jackson. I was like, oh, of course not. I'm not going to do it at that speed. I'm talking about Welcher. When he was asked, did you do it at the proper speed or a higher speed? He's like, oh, of course, I'm not going to stand there. Well, what about getting a crash dummy? What about getting, this 3D arm, or whatever they referred to it as? What was it? They called it a hybrid 3 arm. I don't know. Just don't know.
Test from Dr. Welcher considered a force calculation?
I'm not aware of him making any type of force calculations or measuring accelerations or anything of that nature, no.
Did Dr. Welcher conduct any testing to determine whether the damage to Ms. Reed's Lexus was consistent with the striking of an arm of a pedestrian?
I'm not aware of any impact testing that he did, no.
Did Dr. Welcher conduct any testing to determine the forces necessary to cause the damage to the taillight of Ms. Reed's vehicle?
Not that I'm aware of, no.
Did Dr. Welcher conduct any testing to determine the forces necessary to cause the injuries to John O'Keefe's arm?
No, not that I'm aware of.
Did Dr. Welcher provide any opinions as it relates to the speed of the subject Lexus at the time of the alleged incident?
No, from reviewing his report and his PowerPoint and analysis, I could not find anywhere in it a specified speed or even a range of speeds.
Did Dr. Welcher provide any opinion as it relates to the forces experienced by the taillight in such an impact?
Not that I'm aware of, no.
Did Dr. Welcher provide any opinion at all as it relates to the post-impact trajectory or movement, if you will, of John O'Keefe's mass or his body subsequent to the alleged conduct?
No, not that I'm aware of.
Next slide, please. Do you recognize this photograph?
Yes.
What is this?
So this is something that you probably have heard and certainly I've discussed already, but this is looking at the right rear corner of the subject Lexus, specifically in the area of the damaged right taillight.
Did you consider this photograph in coming to your opinions and conclusions?
Yes.
What, if anything, of significance did you note about this taillight other than the fact that it's damaged?
Well, I'm going to jump to the next slide, if you will. So this is now the taillight obviously has been removed from the vehicle. So obviously what's important here is looking at what is the damage that we have to this taillight. What components were damaged in this alleged interaction. So we're looking at the clear diffuser at the bottom is fractured and missing. Same with the ones on the vertical side. The majority of the outer red lens is also missing and fractured. And then on the back side, we also have some damage in terms of some fracturing to that black plastic. And there's also a chunk of plastic missing on the top portion of the taillight as well.
I want to ask you a couple of questions about that diffuser. If you could focus your attention on this area. Describe for the jurors what they're looking at in terms of the diffuser. What is the diffuser?
Right, let me see if this. So the diffusers, right where my mouse is, there's a clear diffuser that runs along the bottom, and then there's another diffuser that runs along here, and then it also goes up vertically. Same here on the bottom one, that also goes up vertically. So this piece was missing and fractured on the bottom, along with the vertical portion. The chrome piece here you can see is also fractured and damaged. And then the kind of the second tier, if you will, that clear diffuser was also fractured and broken on the upper section as well.
What are they meaning here by, what is he meaning here by this diffuser being broken out as it pertains to the theory of the prosecutor of vehicle striking police officer John O'Keefe, Ed?
Well, as I said earlier, it's about 2 inches, inch and a half to 2 inches inside of the taillight assembly away from the exterior lens. So that requires a deeper penetration into the lens to crack and have that diffuser missing from the lens housing.
Look at Dr. Wolfe is going into he brought a taillight, identical replica of the Lexus, and look at how Judge Bev is side-eyeing and looking down at, I don't know, what does that appear that she's looking at right here?
Well, I think she's trying to see what he's got in the bag.
I thought she was looking at his butt, but
oh, stop.
I could be wrong.
You could remain standing for just a quick second. Do you recognize what that is?
Yes.
Is that what you just described?
Correct, yes.
Describe it one more time for the court and the jury. What is it that we're looking at right here?
So this is an exemplar set of taillights from a 2021 Lexus LX 570. On my left side here, this is the liftgate taillight assembly, and it's attached to the quarter panel taillight assembly. And I will know it's not normally like that. Obviously, you can't have a connector, else you wouldn't be able to open the liftgate, but I've printed a bracket back here so that these can remain as one unit.
Your Honor, with the court's permission, I'd like to have that marked as next in order.
Is that coming into evidence?
Yes, if possible.
Is that okay?
Okay.
Okay. So how?
May I approach?
Yes.
This might be clunky. Thank you.
Here's where he taps the light. She tells him, give it back. Look at it again. Look at her looking at him holding this taillight. He only gets to hold it for a short period of time because he starts banging on it. And she's like, give it back to him.
Just have the tag perhaps put somewhere on the maybe the face.
But she doesn't want it behind the witness bench. She wants it removed.
Right.
Give it back over there, please.
Give it back over there.
Just give it to him. Thank you.
250.
Yes. Look, he takes it back. Watch this. Look, Judge. She told him, give it back to the witness. Watch it. Watch.
Yeah, but right now,
He's all the way back at the podium with the fucking thing.
Dr. Wolfe, you indicated that there was a 5 millimeter
Like what?
area of acrylic covering the diffusers, correct?
Correct.
What I'm knocking on, is that
Give it back.
the 5 millimeter acrylic?
Yes, both on the quarter panel part that you just pointed to, as well as the liftgate part.
Mr.
Those are-
Jackson, why don't we give that back to the witness and let him do it instead of you?
Sure.
Let him bang on. Hold on a second. I haven't laughed this much in a long time. Mr. Jackson, why don't you let him bang on it instead of you banging on it at the podium?
calm down, Ron. You're getting hysterical.
I can't.
Can you see?
Can I have a little bit of a laugh at
into the
it? Crying out
diffuser
loud? Hold on.
that you just
Stop
been
breathing
describing?
down my neck.
Yes. So, as I mentioned earlier,
Correct.
correct. Yes.
Can I go back?
LX 570 mentioned earlier.
Wait, I want to
You
go
recognize-
back to where he's got it at the
LX 570.
Oh.
It's open lip.
gosh. Look,
Just give it.
she's like, give it back. Just give it back.
250.
He takes it and look. Watch us. Look at Beth. She looks up. What? Wait. What? Where are you going with that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you. Dr. Wolfe, you indicated that there was a 5 millimeter area of acrylic covering the diffusers, correct?
Correct.
What I'm knocking on, is that the 5 millimeter acrylic?
Yes, both on the quarter panel part that you just pointed to, as well as the liftgate part.
Mr.
Those are-
Jackson, why don't we give that back to the witness and let him do it instead of you?
Sure.
Let him
Is
play
there-
with it.
But I wanted to play with it.
Can you see through that loose material into the diffuser that you've just been describing?
Yes. So, as I mentioned earlier, in this area here, there's a diffuser that's running along the
And she's
bottom.
going to yell at him because it looks like it's going to poke her in the head.
My apologies.
Yeah. Oh,
Who's the other side
did
of
not
the
hit my
witness?
Yes, Your Honor.
reporter in the head with
So
that.
along the bottom is the clear diffuser that runs along and then goes up vertically. And then on the second tier, there's also a clear diffuser that runs along here and then goes up vertically. And you might be able to see it through, it kind of looks like there's little dots
Yeah.
on it. So that's what I'm
She's
referring
going
to.
to pass the Post-it note right now.
Yeah. What is she's writing down? I need to sustain more objections from
Oh, stop.
Uncle Hanky.
Diffuser that's underneath. And that, again, so you have that outer material that's 5 millimeters roughly in thickness. And then those diffusers are about 3 millimeters in thickness underneath this.
Pass that to Mr. Jackson. And on that post-it note, it says, if you touch a fucking another thing, you are mine.
Could you make a determination, and you can go ahead and have a seat. Well, actually, you may not want to. Could you make a determination of the space of the gap between the outer plasticine area, the outer acrylic area, and the internal diffusers? You could just estimate that gap.
If I had to estimate, I'd probably estimate around an inch, maybe inch and a half.
Okay.
All right. Inch and a half.
You indicated that something was of significance to you in this photograph about the diffusers on the subject taillight, correct?
Correct.
Describe, now that you're holding that, what was it that was of note to you, Dr. Wolfe?
So as I mentioned, we have damage not only to this outer thick portion, but it was enough force and energy to then penetrate deep enough to fracture the underlying diffusers that sit below this outer surface, and certainly enough force then to work its way back through inducement into the backside, and ultimately there was a top portion of the taillight that was also fractured up here.
Bev just said, ooh, he said backside.
Is all that significant to you in your review of the subject taillight material?
Yes.
Okay, you can go ahead and put that away.
All right.
It's like Bev is like, oh my God, thank God he's putting that away.
So that can't go back there because it's in evidence. So why don't we take it and?
I was just going to store it there.
Look, the court reporter is trying to grab it, pulling it back from it. This taillight piece, I didn't get this humor the first time I was watching it, but oh my God, this is like something out of like a Punk'd episode.
You indicated that something was of significance to you in this photograph about the diffusers on the subject taillight, correct?
Correct.
Describe, now that you're holding that, what was it that was of note to you of the subject
Clear.
of the subject taillight material?
Yes.
Okay, you can go ahead and put that away.
All right, here we go.
Ron, step away from the cursor.
So that can't go back there because it's in
It can't
evidence. So
go
why don't
back
we
there.
take it and?
I was just going to store it there until he's finished with his testimony, and then we can give it to the clerk magistrate. However you want to do it, Your Honor.
Right.
I have
Do you
no
wanna take
preference.
it? Is he using it still for his testimony?
Not right now.
All right. So, thanks.
Pass the tail.
Passing it around like it's a bomb.
This is crazy.
May I
You
continue?
can't say
Yes.
bomb on an
Can we go to the
airplane.
next slide?
Bomb to the bomb. The
What are we
bomb,
looking
bomb,
at
the
here?
bomb.
This is a collection of photographs that depict various fragments from the right rear tail lamp assembly of the Lexus. And I will note that, and I'll try to spotlight it, there are a few fragments in this photograph that are glass fragments, which, as I discussed earlier, there's no glass in the taillight, so these did not originate from the assembly. But altogether, from what I recall, there's about 50 fragments, I believe, that were counted or so, maybe a little less than that from the right taillight.
If we could go to the next slide, please. What are we looking at here?
So these are photographs depicting the sweatshirt or hoodie that Mr. John O'Keefe was wearing on the night of the alleged incident.
And what was the role that this played in your analysis ultimately?
Well, so one of the things that I noted, and I can go to the next slide, is there were a series of small punctures or holes in the sleeve, on the right sleeve of the sweatshirt in varying sizes. I think some as small as just a few millimeters. Again, I think there was maybe 10 or 12, I think I recall, on the right sleeve of that sweatshirt.
Crime scene CSI Ed said 9.
If we could go back to the larger photograph, the previous slide, do you see the right sleeve denoted on the photograph to the right?
Yes.
Your review of these photographs, what was the significance of the triangular sort of arrows or markers?
I believe those were to annotate or draw attention to those holes.
Okay.
Could we get a bunch of 9s in the chat for Ed Wallace correcting that, please? 9s in the chat.
Okay.
Oh shit! What did I do?
Oh, step away from the cursor.
Accelerate from left.
The
impact.
Where was I, Ed? This.
Oh man, I'm gonna smack the shit out of you when I see you
I
next.
got it.
You were looking at.
Did I get it?
Were you successful?
No.
Side of that.
Did you see any of those questions answered in Dr. Welcher's report?
What'd you do?
Oh, where was I?
What did you see in terms of Dr. Welcher's report?
Right there.
I got it.
These photographs.
So the importance of this is, more specifically looking at the right photograph here, might be a little bit hard to see, but we wanted to get the same exact sweatshirt or hoodie for the testing to evaluate if the taillight breaks, is there a mechanism for the fragments to penetrate and cause holes in the sweatshirt as were observed in Mr. John O'Keefe's sweatshirt?
Next slide. Were you successful in finding the exact replica sweatshirt?
Yes, and I will note, as I mentioned, I know it probably is hard to see, but the material blend on the sleeves are the exact same. They are 60% cotton and 40% polyester.
Was it important in your mind to maintain consistency with the data that you had received concerning John O'Keefe's clothing?
Certainly, I think we wanted to try to control as many variables as we could.
Let's move to the next slide, please. Test A. Describe test A for us, please.
So you're going to see a series of photographs and then videos, but test A was mounting a preconditioned taillight on that linear impactor to accelerate it into the hybrid 3 arm to, again, evaluate the damage to the taillight and the acceleration to the arm.
Move to the next slide, please. What are we looking at in these photographs?
So you're looking on the left, a photograph just before the impact test was conducted. On the right, you're looking at a thermal image that is depicting the temperature profile of the taillight.
Describe that thermal image.
Certainly. Your Honor, may I refer to my notes?
Yes.
See, I love that this guy asked her, Your Honor, may I look at my notes? Whereas Dr. Welcher was editing his notes, right? He wasn't asking for permission. He was just doing it. At least Dr. Wolfe is asking. Ed, we're going to wrap it up at an hour and 30. So never fear. Is there anything that you want me to skip to? Or do you want to let this play through?
I mean, you can show this test and you know, you can blow right through it.
So So what I did is I analyzed the profile of the temperature down in this area. And when we look at that segment, that lower portion here, where contact was made, the average temperature in that area was about 34 degrees with a minimum of about 33 degrees.
How did you get that exemplar taillight down to around freezing?
So all of the taillights that we tested were preconditioned overnight in a freezer.
Why was that important?
Well, it's my understanding that at the time that this allegedly occurred, the ambient temperature was 31 degrees Fahrenheit. So as I mentioned earlier, certainly there's a correlation between how plastics perform in cold weather. So we wanted to take that variable into account in our testing to precondition them down to temperatures that were consistent with at the time of the alleged incident.
Ed, let me ask you a question. Where did Dr. Welcher do his testing? It was in California, correct?
No, he did his testing in, no, he car in Reed's car. They did it in the parking lot of the one of the police facilities that were holding Karen Reed's car.
I thought that I had seen Dr. Welcher in California.
Well, that's where he's based out of, but he had the car purchased in Texas, but it was brought to where the Mass State Police were, the impound lot for where Karen Reed's car was being stored.
Okay, correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought that he was asked where he conducted the tests, and it was in California where it was warm.
So they brought the Karen Reed's car out there?
They bought the car out there.
No, he bought his car, the test car, in Texas. Okay.
It's there. It was in California.
What, he did the testing in California?
Yes. Yeah, look, the chats. I'm telling you, I remember that very.
Because I remember seeing Karen Reed's car next to it.
If I'm wrong, I will eat crow.
All right.
But I'm telling you right now.
Oh, somebody's saying yes, Ed. Okay.
The reason I'm saying this is this man put the taillight and chilled it to 32 degrees Fahrenheit to mimic the temperatures at the time on January 29th of 2022. And Welcher did his tests in sunny Southern California.
Yes. And he didn't, he didn't break the light. He didn't do any.
$369,000.
Next slide, please. What are we looking at in this slide, on this photograph?
So this is a video. Do you want me to go ahead and play the video?
Tell us what we're about to see, and then I'll ask the court's permission.
So you were looking at a camera that is mounted above the entire setup. If you look at the top portion of this video, you will see the taillight. Part of it's covered by the high-speed camera. But what will happen is the linear impactor will fire, and the taillight will be accelerated up to 10 miles per hour, striking the closed ATD arm.
With the court's permission.
Okay.
Let's go ahead and play the video. Next slide, please. What is this?
So this is also a video, but with the high-speed camera. So it's the high-speed camera that's looking top down at the arm. So you will see when the video plays, you will see the taillight enter from the left and contact the arm. And I will note that this is essentially slow mode, so it's not happening in real time. So you'll see the taillight slowly moving, but it's actually in reality moving at 10 miles per hour.
Understood. Let's play that. Can I ask a question now that that's played? How did you mount the taillight to the accelerator, that linear accelerator?
Right. So we had to get a little bit creative there because you may have observed this when we had the physical assembly out earlier. The back of that, it's not some nice clean surface that we can just bolt on. So what we had to do is 3D print a bracket that we could bolt onto the linear impactor, and we used a polyurethane expanding foam to be able to marry those two together so that we could then bolt it onto the linear impactor to use it for this test.
Did you see any debris from that foam mounting mechanism?
Yes, there's a few flakes you can see of that polyurethane foam off the backside kind of going into being dispersed there.
Okay. With regard to this particular 10-mile-an-hour test, what did you note in terms of the damage to the taillight?
It was very minimal.
And what did you note in terms of any damage at all to the hoodie?
There was none.
We go to the next slide, please.
Remember, Dr. Welcher said 8 miles an hour would crack the lens.
Right.
This is looking at a side view. So same test, just looking at it from the side. And similar, you'll see the tail light come from the left and impact the arm.
If we can play this, please.
I love this stuff.
What did you note in terms of deflection of the arm, the test arm?
Well, the arm essentially, and we'll see this in the data later, it reaches a common velocity with the taillight based upon the portion of the arm that was contacted, again, consistent with how Dr. Welcher has it oriented, it will become accelerated up to 10 miles an hour roughly.
Over approximately what period of time is that arm accelerated up to 10 miles an hour along with the taillight?
We'll see it on the data plots. I think it's about 10 milliseconds or so.
How long, do you know how long an eye blink on average takes?
Off the top of my head, no, I don't. Probably pretty quick.
Somewhere around 250 milliseconds. Does that sound right?
Sustain.
Let's move to the next slide, please.
On the inside portion of the forearm, if you will.
All right.
You want? Yeah, this is
Yeah,
all.
we get it.
Yeah, this is all laboratory test. Big long sidebar. Then he does test B, test closing, post test, vehicle test. These are interesting as well, but we're running out of time. But Ed, I want to just move to you on, again, your overall thoughts. Someone in the chat asked us what we thought of Dr. Wolfe's testimony thus far, as it pertains to Hank trying to, muddy the waters. Scientifically and professionally, what we thoughts on, and I know what they are, but let's just do this for anybody who's joining late.
I thought it was an excellent presentation to the jury. It was filled with true science, and he was doing it in response to Dr. Welcher's work, and he showed the difference between smoke and mirrors and true forensic science. He did numerous tests of using all different methodologies on the arm, dummies, car, lenses, and the pneumatic piston that he was using there. And it just shows that the prosecution's case doesn't hold water, right? It didn't happen the way they said it happened. There was no accident. Now, his partner's going to come and talk about all these tests that were done and what injuries the victim would have sustained if impacted within these manners as they suggest in the prosecution. And the injuries just aren't there. Okay, it does not support it. That's why the FBI hired them and sent that report to the prosecutor with a note saying, we really don't think you should be prosecuting this case.
Thank you, Ed, for that. And I want to just go to one quick thing. This is going to be a soundbite. Hold on.
Ms. Vito, please answer the question. Does the defense's case hold water?
No. The defense is wrong.
There we go. Yeah. There you go.
Yeah, we're going to get striked.
I don't care. While you were talking to the audience, I felt, look, we're at 500,000 subscribers. Let them strike us for that. But that was great. Ms. Vito, does the defense's case, does the prosecution's case hold water? No, it doesn't. All right, let's go to the super chats and then we'll wrap it up. Allison BD, thank you for gifting 5 memberships. Ed, can you read a couple of these as I look for more sound bites to make fun?
Sure.
All
okay,
right.
Allison BD gifted 5. Thank you. The eye kept for Selena.
Hold on. That's Selena. The eye is for Selena. I had a hard time reading that the other night, and guess what?
What?
That is Gio from the warehouse. He is the charge of he's got the second floor. He runs the second floor and he does all the inventory. So this is Gio. He's one of your fans.
You just outed him. Okay.
I don't care. He's out. He's out of the closet. No.
All right, Gio. Dr. Wolfe.
Dr. Wolfe, he's given their hearts, but guess what? He thinks that you are eye candy as well, Ed.
Uh-oh.
Just so you know.
Okay.
All right. So there's the eye kept for Selena. Thank you for the 2. Gio, I hope you don't have to work on Sunday, but I'll see you Monday. Don't worry about it. Go ahead, Ed. I'm looking for stuff.
Mel Clump, $5. Thank you. The best and cheapest win would be if they would power up the lights. Thank you both. Okay. Twigs, $2. Thank you for your $2. I want my $2. Name the movie. Okay. Hey, Ed, BW, thanks for the $4.99. Hey, Ed, ChatGPT also says the following: linear, parallel, superficial cuts and lacerations are not typical of being hit by a car. True. Okay. New Jersey, Kathy. All right. Thanks for your $2. I bet the Alberts took off with Chloe. I don't know. Chloe may make a surprise appearance in the in the prosecution's rebuttal case. Okay. Judd Welcher, crash test dummy, David Reese, gifted 1 DutyRon membership. Thank you for that. GA Peach, Georgia Peach, baby, gifted 5 DutyRon memberships. Thank you for that, and for you people that won these memberships. Welcome. Glamousous, $5. Thank you. Hank is digging himself deeper than the offshore wind farms. He will never get another client again except as a public defender. The jury got it. Thank you for that. Gemma Blake, thank you for your $2. Old Miss Rebel, 21, gifted 5 DutyRon memberships. Thank you for that. Jody Lynn Kryzak, okay. HB's wife is on X complaining about her free hotel shampoo. She seems like an effing gem too. Can you imagine that shit show every day? His voice alone would ruin a saint's way. Oh, stop. All right. Allison B gifted another 5 DutyRon memberships. Thank you, Allison B. Ben with $4.99. Worldwide people are watching this trial, and it's truly shocking and embarrassing that the Canton Kangaroo Court. It is indeed. Dolly Good 66. Thank you for your $2. Best coverage of Karen Reed retrial. Thanks you too. Thank you. Kim Vest for your $9.99. This channel is the best. I think Brennan probably needed new indies, and Cannelloni looked dazed and confused. Okay. Gemma Blake for your $2. Thank you. What can Welcher say on rebuttal? Tally ab out. Okay. Ask Bob, $20. Thank you, Bob. Okay. Ed, if I raise money for your bonus, would you move to Canton and become our police chief? I never heard better or more honest. No bullshit. That's what we need. I tell you, to be quite honestly, I'm afraid to go back up there. I've done a lot of work in that Boston, Mass area. And Kiwi from down under New Zealand, $8.99.
Ed, I'm coming with you. I'm coming with.
Okay, super sticker. Thank you. Darlene Wolfe, our friend Darlene, $1.99. I want my $2. Love you, Ron. Darlene Wolfe, $4.99. Darlene Wolfe, $1.99. Love you. Darlene Wolfe, $4.99. Judd Welcher, crash test dummy. He's back with another $2. Wolf got pissed when Brennan brought up his wife.
Oh, yeah. And I don't
as well he should.
But he didn't show it, and he didn't lose his professionalism. He wasn't hooked by Hank. Tried to hook him, and he didn't let him get hooked. He stood his ground and he stayed professional. That's what I liked about it.
Just Peachy, $2. Thank you. Lisa G, $5 super sticker. Thank you. Lisa Dempsey, $10. Thank you. Wolf can't delete text, but Higgins can toss his whole phone, damage his SIM card, McCabe can delete her searches, and the Albers can rehome their dog and refloor their basement and sell their house. Oh, cranky hanky.
Exactly.
Okay.
That was a good one.
Rhino Girl, I think we did this one, right? Rhino Girl over in United Arab Emirates with $100 UAE. The eye kept for Selena. Cleo's back for another $1.99. iPhones need space for updates. I delete my messages. Yeah, you always get those messages, right? You know, you're running out of space. Please buy more.
People like to clean up their phones and not keep it from running slow. So yeah.
Okay, you back?
I am back. I had to go. I had to actually leave the studio.
Yeah, I heard the toilet flush. Okay, Valerie Rockwell.
Hear that? I made sure the door was shut.
$10. Okay, I apologize if I offended you, but I am.
Yeah, we can't listen. We're just trying to have put a little light onto the situation, but I get. And we respect that offended you.
Well, there's no disrespect meant to our Native American friends. I've done a lot of work in the tribal police in New Mexico, Arizona, and other parts of the country. So, in fact, I have a Native American name. And
yeah, Mama She 13, send me an email on DutyRon.com, and I will forward your message to Ed Wallace. Ed, so we keep it simple. We want to keep it in one place, DutyRon.com. So anything that you have for Ed, you could send it there, and I'll forward it to him. Thank you for the 10. Darkborn, thank you for 10. In my opinion, there are so many fatal errors allowed by Bev and presented by Brennan. There's now no way the appeals court would allow any verdict except for a not guilty to stand.
Yeah, she's made many reversible errors.
Brandy, thank you for being a member for a month. Ed and DutyRon, your commentary is naturally hilarious. Well, we try to mix professionalism with
I say, Brandy, you're a fine girl. What a good wife you would be. Right here, Naked Gun, face slap, so funny. Okay. Tommy Futch. Annie Bev doesn't want independent testing entered into evidence. That contradicts the prosecution's experts. Exactly.
Bingo. Yahtzee. Don't pass.
Annie Pops becomes a YouTube member. Welcome.
Yes. Well,
Gemma Blake back again. $1.99. Will the FBI charge the Canton Mafia? We shall see. We shall see, because they are watching.
Look who's back again.
Okay, our friend from UAE, Rhino Girl, is back with another 25. All right, A++ to Dr. Wolfe. He embodies professionalism, expertise, knowledge, etc. He even kept a straight face when asked about the orange T-shirt. Yes, indeed.
I agree, and I want to break up the monotony a little bit here.
Bad boys, what you gonna do? What you gonna do when they come for you? Bad boys, what you gonna do? What you gonna do when they come for you?
All right, there we go. Take it off, Ed. I love how when I play it, he just reaches. It's like he's reaching for a gun.
I brought it down to my house in Jersey. Okay.
We don't need any stinking badges. And the one question Hanky forgot to ask: did you have an autopsy? Put the solo. Do you have the leaf blower? If you have the leaf blower, I had to leave home.
I
would have ended the live stream and just ran away from the desk. But yeah, that's funny. One question for Hanky. He forgot to ask: do you have the autopsy done on Dancing Randy before you made your conclusion? That was a good one.
Nobody puts Randy in the corner.
What movie is that from? Anybody in the chat? Vesper, thank you for the 5. I normally love hearing every bit of a trial, but I find myself having not to listen to Brennan. Pardon my French.
Pardon my French, but you're an asshole.
Thank you.
Yes, he is. Yes, Brennan is.
Melanie, thank you for the 20. Why does it light up at 5:07 a.m. and on the tow truck if the diffuser is broke?
Because it wasn't broken yet.
Yeah.
It happened in the Sally port.
There you go. The Sally port with the inverted videos and all as it pertains to the testimony of the female officer. They were in there. What did she say, Ed? You got that down. How long of a time were they in there? For an uncomfortably long time, or
wildly?
Wildly. Thank you. Wildly. JN, thank you for the 10. Why does this Lexus red taillight being loaded on the flatbed get no traction? We all saw it. This trial is a crime. Karen Reed will own Massachusetts. This court is corrupt.
Yep.
Can't argue with you there, JN. That's for sure. But thank you for the support. And look, oh my God, she's throwing her whole pocketbook at us.
Well, when I come over to UAE, I'm gonna meet you.
Yeah. And I want to come with you because I've never been there.
Never? Oh, it's great.
Jackson, do you want that taillight in evidence? I almost lost it. Really? Adrian, Custom Furnitures and Home Decor, thank you for the 5. I love seeing Ed so happy. You look so happy most of the time, but you're like a kid in a candy store right now, Ed. Congratulations. Right. 500,000.
Because he blinded me with science.
We already got a strike, Ed. You want me to get a double strike? I'm going to go and look for that. Mm-hmm. Excited Utterance, thank you for becoming a YouTube member. I want to gift on behalf of Ed Wallace and myself. How many should we gift, Ed? 20 free membership? Yep. Let's do it. Farmer's white hair, thank you for the 2. Why you all
were y'all proud of Dr. Wolfe?
Well,
yes.
For fuck's sake, we're very proud of Dr. Wolfe.
No, see, I don't know. I can pretty much guess what part of the country you're from, but you have to say, you guys proud of Dr. Wolfe? Forget about it.
All right. Everybody put a 1 in the chat if you want to.
Yeah, do it. Just do it.
Put a 1 in the freaking chat if you want a chance for a free membership. Give us a like, hit that like button, thumbs up. Make sure you share the video and make sure you're subscribed. I think everybody.
Put a 1 in the chat if you want a free membership. We're going to give some away.
All right.
Jennifer Gilly, thank you. Member for 16 months.
Appreciate that. Where am I going? Where am I? Hold on. That was Jennifer. I don't want to miss. There we go. Okay, I'm up right there. Boom. That's Gio.
Gio's back. I'm here.
Gio is back. I'm here. Here's Johnny. Just say no. Ed, do it. I'm busy right
Just say no to sideswipe volunteering. Free Karen Reed. Dr. Wolfe test 17 pieces of taillight. Commonwealth 47 pieces. Exactly. Holly R, $2. I want my $2. Thank you, Holly. Did anybody name that movie? I didn't see it in the chat.
It probably did, but it just went.
LJ, $10. Thank you. I feel a kinship to both of you as I was deployed to the World Trade Center 9/11 with DMAT. Yes, disaster. DMAT, the medical team. That's right. MA1. Yeah, you guys were down at the Ground Zero. I saw your tent and I stopped by a couple times. I would love to see you both with Melanie Little and Mark Betterow. New Yorkers are the best. No, you're the best.
Well, I could tell you that Melanie Little has been a guest many times on this show with Ed, with myself, with me, while Ed was traveling. We tried to get Mark Betterow, and he, according to Melanie, it was too busy to come on with us at that time. It was a long time ago. I haven't asked recently, but he seems to be going on a lot of different podcasts, a lot of different shows. So I don't want to drag him down. And
LJ, I hope you're checking your health and you registered with the World Trade Center Clinic.
Make sure. Congratulations to the 20 gifted memberships on behalf of Crime Time with DutyRon and Ed Wallace. Thank you for that. For being here. DCP Pacific Northwest sends in 5, and she says $5 for 500K.
Yeah. Yes, thank you. Thank you for your support.
Ed said it sounds better when we say $500,000.
$500,000. I like that better.
Sounds better, right? It just sounds better. All right.
So more better.
So there it is. DutyRon and Ed gifted 20 memberships. Congratulations. Oh, Rhino Girl is throwing her whole safe at us tonight. She says,
DutyRon and Ed, you are more than welcome to visit. We can meet when I come to the USA. Would love to meet you both.
Yes.
I did a lot of work in Abu Dhabi for the royal family, and I got a contract back in the day to come over there and train their police, and it was such a fun time.
Absolutely. I heard so many good things about it. I'd like to go and visit. So let's go to the chat. Hashtag Ed, hashtag DutyRon. We're an hour and 45. This is 15 minutes of overtime. But let's say hello to everybody in the chat that has any questions as it pertains to Dr. Crash Daddy from today. Again, it was day 28 of this retrial, the completion of its 7th week. Jennifer Nobles, thank you for being here. I love you. Appreciate you. We both appreciate you tremendously. Thank you for gifting those memberships. Jennifer is one of about 20 people, maybe less, maybe more. I don't know. I haven't checked recently, but last check, it was about 20 platinum tier members. So she has been a platinum member, Ed, for years. Like, I'm not kidding. Years.
Yep.
Thank you, Jennifer Nobles, down in Bakersfield, California, over on the other side of the US of A. I've been to California. It's a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful state many a times. So thank you, Jennifer, for gifting.
All right.
All right.
I see people are all getting all the movie references. Yes. Better Off Dead.
Look at Honey Hush. She said, I love this channel. Well, we love you.
And we love that you're here.
Yes. Ed, you see something? I see you working the switchboard.
No. One ringy dingy.
All right. So this weekend, again, a lot of things going on. Plan on a members only live stream this weekend. We're due for a members only. I'm going to give away, I told you, Ed, I'm going to buy 10 of your books. I have 2 left that you signed.
Okay.
But I'm going to buy the 10 on Amazon, and I'll have them shipped to you at your house, and then you sign them. And then on the members only, we'll give 5 of them away to the members, and then we'll do a public live stream, and we'll give 5 more away to everybody in that are publicly subscribed. Does that sound fair? And that'll be for our 500,000 subscribers.
That sounds good.
On that one, I'll get the StreamYard wheel out, where we'll get everybody in the chat, and then it will do a random, all you have to do is let's put for the keyword 500K or just 500, and then everybody puts 500 in the chat, and then I spin the wheel, and it just randomly selects the people. So we'll do that. That'll be fun. What do you guys think in the chat? Let us know. Let me see if I can pull that up and just do it.
One speaks like Howard Cosell. Yes, I love it. Better Off Dead. Yes, great movie.
Where the hell did it go? Ed, where did it go?
What did what go?
I want to get the StreamYard giveaway tool. All right, here it is. Let's try it. Give me 2 seconds.
Give me 2 steps. Give me 2 steps, mister. Give me 2 steps towards the door.
We're going to do the test. This is just a test. This is a test. All right, Ed, you ready?
Is it a duck and cover test?
Hold on, stand by. Ed, I'm putting you full screen. Take over. This is the Ed Wallace Show now.
Dun, 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 dun. All right, folks. I don't know what Ron's doing because he already went to the bathroom. But okay, he's getting his magic up in the digital department here to get up the spinning wheel, picking out. We used to do this in the past. He hasn't done it in quite some time. So what's going to end up happening is, if you put that 500 in, and then it's going to circle through all the people in the chat and the names that have the 500 in, and pick out a name, and you would be the proverbial winner.
Right. You have to put it in as hashtag 500, just like that.
Hashtag 5. Okay.
All right. So hashtag 500 is what you got to do. It's just a test. I just want to see how many people enter. Nobody's done it. Nobody has done it so far. Hashtag 500.
Oh, there it is. It's starting to show up now. Hashtag 500.
I see it. See, it's growing. There's 28, now 58. Let's see how many people enter this thing.
Come on, there's 3260 in the crowd here. Hashtag 500. Hashtag 500.
Yeah, let's just do this right now. Let's do 2 books giveaway.
2 books. We're going to give away 2 autographed copies of my book. One of my books. Crime Scene Investigations.
Crime Scene Investigations by Ed Wallace.
It's the what? 4th or 5th edition, I believe. I can't remember.
I have it back here, but I'm connected with my headset. So keep putting hashtag 500. You see it's growing. There's 182.
Yes.
Only 186 people want your book. And how is there 3,000 people watching? And
Yeah. Listen, with my book and your bus fare money, you can get on a bus.
I'm gonna put my thing in. If I win it, I get to keep that book. Yeah, I'm in it. Look, DutyRon's in it.
You got to be in it to win it.
Carrie, she just woke up and she was like, "Oh hell no, I'm not gonna miss this chance." Let's dog on a couple of people. Somebody put, hold on. Yeah, this person didn't even want a chance. They just put number sign, percentage sign, 00. This person was trying to do it so fast. Woods Whisper.
He hit the shift key. That's why. He hit the shift key.
Shift key?
No, the shift. He meant to hit.
All right.
Ooh, brother.
39 people want this. Want a chance at.
Go ahead. Make my day.
You feel lucky, punk? Do you?
You could ask yourself a question. Do I feel lucky? Well, do you, punk?
I should have played that for Lucky when we had Lucky on. All right. 256, 257. I'm going to draw a name. Pick me, says Lake Lizard. Look at this. And if it's outside of the U.S., don't worry about it. Ed will pick up the shipping on that.
Sure, no problem. I'll drop it in a dip sack packed, and it will be at the United States Embassy wherever you are in the world.
All right, only 200. I can't believe that we have 3,000 people here and that only 271 people are entering this drawing.
It's climbing. It's climbing.
It is not. It's not climbing. Maybe we shouldn't do it.
Maybe we can launch my book into space with the vehicle. Dr. Welcher could help us.
Let's do it another time. I don't think anybody wants this book.
Hashtag 500. Hashtag 500.
It's not even 300 people, Ed. This is embarrassing. I think that Bev is there's objections and she's sustaining them.
She's sustaining my book.
She's sustaining the book. Look,
I'll allow it.
Not even 300. 299. 300. Finally 300.
All right. When it gets to 500.
No, we might be here till midnight. For fuck's sake. We got to end this thing, Ed. All right. This is just only going to be a test then. All right. Because this is not a respectable number. We can't have this, Ed. If it was 1,000 people, then I would say, well, let's do it. But since there's just this many, this is too little. All right, let's play. This is just a test now. Hold on. Somebody said impatient.
If I had patience, I'd be a doctor.
Do what have to keep typing? All you have to do is type right here. Hashtag like Courtney C did. 500. You can't get two entry. You can't. It's only one time. It only registers one time. Look, Canadian Bacon's like, what the fuck, man?
They're saying the counter's not working.
It is too. It is working. Let me
refresh. See what happens.
Let me shut my It's gone.
What did you do?
I think I just I screwed it up. It's gone. It's only 58 entries. You can't.
It's the curse of Josh.
I did what you did, and I said refresh, and now it started all over again.
Oh.
All right. What a nightmare. We had what, 300? How many did we have at one point?
Yeah, it was over 300.
I got to put I want my chance because I want my name to come up. Wouldn't that be funny? 500. All right. I'm putting my entry in.
That's right. He blinded me with science.
Bobby Pin is getting in on the. So Joanne says, I guess you need more practice. No, I did what you said, Ed. I refreshed it. And when
I thought it would help. Who knew? Such a thing.
I listened to the crime scene guy and it screwed it up.
Officer, you don't have to give me a summons. You can give me a good scare.
Okay. All right. Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's just do it. People are going to get mad. They're going to be like, hey, what the hell? I want a book. See?
Yeah.
Heather Licious.
Heather be thy name.
I exhaust myself sometimes.
You
I
do.
really do.
You exhaust me too.
Half 1,000. That doesn't work as an entry.
What is that dog there? What kind of dog is that?
All right, we're back up to 250, Ed. That looks like a poodle of some sort. Labradoodle, maybe.
Labradoodle?
Canadian bacon's like, come on, man. Come on.
It's not bacon, it's ham.
Pardon my.
Easy.
Won't regret it.
Yeah, this is for Geo.
Yes, you won't regret it.
All right, ready? Where is it?
Bad boys, what you gonna do? Or what you gonna do when they come for you? Bad boys, what you gonna do? Or what you gonna do when they come for you?
The Stop and Shop crime scene bag.
You're quick with the bag, Ed. All right, here we go. Almost 300. It's still very not respectable, Ed. I figured if we got you dancing for a little bit, it would happen. I want it autographed. Wait a minute. Listen to this. Kimberly's very demanding. Strasbourg.
It's autographed. It's autographed.
I want it autographed. And then she said, thank you. So that was okay. All right, here we go. Let's do it. You guys ready? Ed?
Let's do it.
I'm tired, Ed. 296. I want 300 people at least.
There's your 300.
No. 301.
301.
Oy vey. 301. All right, here we go. We're going to pull one name, and then we got to wrap it up. I was going to do two, but we're going to do one. And then we'll do this on the members only. Maybe we'll get more than 305 entries into the drawing. This is for Ed Wallace's book. Ed, do you have the thing on the phone?
Oh, you want me to get that? Hold on.
Uh-oh. Do you have it, Ed?
Yeah, I'm getting it. Hold on.
For fuck's sake. Lynette Crick says she hates, I still hate Hank. It reminds me of Riddler from Batman and the Gotham.
You ready?
Nina says, I wish I can afford to join your channel. Maybe one day in the future. Whoa. Hold on. Nina, it's okay. Don't worry. We do the bulk of our... Wait, Ed. Wait. We do the bulk of our live stream public.
Tell me when you're ready.
All right. I'm going full screen with it. And then 10. Wait, I'll do it live. We'll do it in 5, 4, 3, 2. Whoa.
I hate it when that happens.
That was a premature, you know what? You prematurely pressed the button. That was a premature button press. All right. Ready? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Shelly.
How perfect was that?
That was freaking perfect. Shelly 513, you are the winner of Ed Wallace's crime scene book. I love the confetti. That was pretty freaking cool, man. 336 people entered. I could draw again on those 336, but we'll do it another time. Shelly, send your address, name and address to DutyRon.com, and we'll send you out your book on Monday. I promise. Cub Scouts honor.
Where you at, Shelly? What part of the country are you at?
Ed wants to know how much postage he's going to. You see, Ed Wallace couldn't give a flying rat's, you know what, about what part of the country she's in. He was just concerned about his bill with postage.
No, not me. Never.
Where are you, in Istanbul?
Oh, we're going to Turkey.
Why don't you put your thumb up your butt?
Oh, what?
All right, folks.
Thanks a lot for joining tonight, and I hope everyone has a good weekend. My son is in from Florida. Unfortunately, one of his friend's dad passed away earlier in the week. So, John, sending strength and prayers to you and your family on the loss of your dad, Joe. And I get to see my son this weekend, but it's under really crappy conditions, and he'll be back next month in July for a whole week, and he's bringing his dog. So Ollie will be here, little baby Ollie. So my wife's looking forward to that. I want to thank the replay viewers, the moderators, the super chatters, and everybody who positively engaged, the mod squad and all of the community here on Crime Time with DutyRon and Ed Wallace. We appreciate you. We love you. 500,000, 500,000 subscribers. That is unbelievable, and we appreciate that tremendously. Thank you. Thank you so much. Oh, somebody said there's an 18% tariff on the country that book's got to go to. So there it is, 18% up on the postage, and the tariffs isn't it. So Ed, you got you better get ready with your checkbook, because you gotta
like I
fund
said,
that.
I'll go to the embassy, and I'll go to the State Department and ship it to the nearest embassy.
Ed, I know you always have something to say at the end of these things, so I'll leave it up to you.
Hey, thank you folks for being with us for this length of time tonight. I know you can get your true crime fix anywhere you like on the internet, and it's an honor to have you sharing that your valuable time with us. Thank you for your support. Thank you for helping us get to 500,000 subscribers. Keep spreading the word for us. I always stay safe, stay prepared, and watch your six.
Amen to that, brother. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining. I got one.
Amazon.
It's on Amazon?
My book, yeah.
It's on DutyRon.com as well. I want to again say thank you, but this trial is about justice for John O'Keefe, and I don't think at this point, when we look at this trial, it is in fact getting justice for him, because the person that they are trying here is clear and evident that she is not responsible for the death of police officer John O'Keefe, the murder of police officer John O'Keefe. So I hope that one day in the future that there is justice for him, and that they do find out who did what to him and where it was done. So I want to play this real quick. Yeah, she got the book. She actually confirmed it. Let's play this, just a little bit of this, and we'll end the live stream.
Victim in this case, the Boston police officer and Braintree native became the legal guardian of his niece and nephew after their children lost both of their parents to illness. You're watching Canton.
So may he continue to rest in peace. Police Officer John O'Keefe from the Boston PD. Good night from Crime Time with DutyRon and Ed Wallace. We appreciate you being here.